Hello everyone, this week's Parsha is Parshat Re'eh. We're actually not going to be speaking about the Parsha this week. If you do want to hear about it though, then please refer to my Torah last year. I'll attach it at the end of the clip. But for now I want to speak about Elul because Shabbat and Sunday is actually Rosh Chodesh Elul. And it's the month right before Rosh Hashanah. There are some unique minhagim for this time, so it's important to kind of get a sense of what it's all about. And I'm quoting from Rav Bernstein's sefer, Teshuva. He released it about 2 years ago. It's fantastic. Highly recommend it. Blatant self-promotion. Or not self-promotion, but promotion for someone else. Okay, so we're in chapter 2. Beginning on the first day of Elul, says Rav Bernstein, we start blowing the shofar in the morning after Shachrit. Our question is why? And if we're just going to say, oh, it's for practice, well, we don't practice other mitzvahs. That's to say, we don't light a menorah or a Hanukkah menorah a week before Hanukkah. We don't start eating matzah a month before Pesach. We don't shake a lulav before Sukkot. So what's the deal with this? Why are we blowing the shofar? What's going on here? And to this, Rav Bernstein quotes the origins of the custom of blowing the shofar on the first day of Elul, and those are found in the Midrash of Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer. So I quote verbatim. On the first day of Elul, the Holy One, blessed is He, said to Moshe, ascend the mountain toward me, for at that time he ascended to read the second luchot. At that time, they sounded the shofar throughout the camp, announcing, Moshe has ascended the mountain, so that they should not stray again after idolatry. Therefore, the rabbis instituted that they blow the shofar on the first of Elul every year. Now, there are a couple of questions that we can ask on this midrash at least. Question 1. Okay, so the reason why we originally blew the shofar on the first day of Elul was to signify that Moshe was going up to Mount Sinai to get the second luchot. Well, okay, so in that case, so first, why do we continue to blow it at all? That is to say, Moshe is no longer going up to Mount Sinai on the first day of Elul. That was that for that time. Now we can kind of be left at peace. We don't do that anymore. We don't need to signify that Moshe is going up to the mountain. That's question 1. And moreover, even if you're going to say, oh, it's, Zecher Ladavar, it has a remembrance for that holy time and special time, well, okay, but then why do we blow the shofar for all of Elul? Just do it for the first of Elul, and we get the point, and now we can move on. But we do it for all of Elul. So why? In order to answer, we just need to have some background information. Let's just say, the shofar was blown when Moshe ascended Mount Sinai to receive the second luchot. Why did he need to receive the second luchot? Because Moshe broke the first luchot. Why did he break the first luchot? Because he saw that the Jewish people were dancing around and worshiping the golden calf. Now, how did that disaster happen? How did that envelop? So we know that the Jewish people and Moshe miscalculated the days. Moshe said, I'm going to be on the mountain for 40 days. I'll be back afterwards. And the Jewish people miscalculated. They counted the day as 40, which for Moshe was only 39. And because they panicked, they ended up worshiping the golden calf. Now, that's a problem because that's a pretty terrible mistake to make for such a silly miscalculation in arithmetic. So that seems almost tragic on one hand. But moreover, how does the shofar come to rectify that mistake? Okay, clearly the Jewish people knew when Moshe had ascended the mountain the first time. They don't need to be told the second time around when he ascended the mountain. That wasn't the problem. The problem was that they miscalculated the days. So how does blowing the shofar resolve that issue? That's the question. In order to answer that, we need to see, why did the Jewish people miscalculate the days? Why did they count that first day not as a day? Sorry, why did they count that first day as a day and Moshe did not? Because the commentators explain there are 2 ways of viewing when a day begins. Moshe saw a day beginning at nighttime, as the Jewish way is. Shabbat starts at night, all the Chagim, anything, every day always starts at night in the Jewish cycle. Now, Moshe understood this, and he counted the day starting at night. And because he only ascended at the mountain during the morning, that is to say, after night, till half the day was already over, he decided, I'm not going to count this day because I want it to be 40 full days. The Jewish people started counting during the day. That is to say, in the morning. Why is that? Because they saw the day as starting during the morning. Now, why? What's behind this? So the commentators explain, before the giving of the Torah, we saw the day as starting in the morning. That is to say, with daylight. After the Torah was given, the days started at nighttime. Now, what's behind this? So say the Mefarshim. The way you see the day can really be a commentary on how you see life itself. That is to say, if you see life in physical terms, then yes, the day begins in the morning. That is to say, when you're young, you have all this energy, you're healthy, you have your whole life ahead of you, everything is great and exciting and wonderful and new. And therefore, that's when the day starts. As the day progresses and it starts to become darker and darker and darker, that's because your energies are ebbing. You're getting older, you're getting more tired, you have less energy, your eyesight is fading, your hearing isn't so great. So kind of life ends, and that's darkness. If you see it in spiritual terms, which is what the Torah is all about, then it's exactly the opposite. The day begins at night, because at night is your youth. That is to say, you're young and immature, you lack experience, you lack knowledge and wisdom, you're young, you're kind of hidden in the dark. As you get older and you gain experience and maturity and you become a more moral person and you become a more intellectual person and a more spiritual person, as that happens, you move out of the darkness and into the light. The more experience and wisdom you have, then the greater the daytime. That is to say, the greater the light. Now, the fact that the Jewish people made that mistake and thought that the day began during the morning, even though they had already received the Torah, was a sign that they were still clinging to their idolatrous roots that they got from Mitzrayim, from Egypt. And that was the problem. They were still counting the days starting in the morning, and they hadn't really received the Torah message of, no, life is about spirituality, is about seeing the day as beginning at night and not during the morning. And it was that mistake that ultimately led to the sin of the golden calf. Now, how does the shofar come to teach us to avoid that message? Because that's what this whole Torah is about. Says the Rambam, as quoted by Rav Bernstein, that the Rambam says, look, we can understand the mitzvah of shofar, it's beyond our comprehension, but at a basic level, we can understand at least something. That is to say, it contains a message for us as follows. So uru yesheni mishinatchem v'nirdamim hekitu mitirdimatchem. Wake up from your sleep and your slumber. Now, the sleep referred to here, is not, the regular sleep that we take at night. That is to say, after our cessation, once we get too tired physically, we need to go to sleep to be restored. The sleep here, he means, is incessant physical activity. Let's say we can be so bogged down by our careers, by our work, by whatever is keeping us busy during the day, that we don't really take a step back to kind of evaluate what's really important and what the primary purpose is in life. And this is actually referenced by the Mesilat Yesharim explicitly. That is to say, in the second chapter, where he's talking about zehirut, being vigilant, being careful with your actions, and being mitbonen, being thoughtful about what it is you're doing and what you should be avoiding, etc. He says, and this is the paragraph. We'll get there in a second. But so he says, so the evil inclination places burdens on a person to prevent him from being vigilant. So the Yetzer Hara keeps kind of amassing all of these tasks for us to do to stop us from kind of paying too close attention to what it is we're doing. And then he says, this is similar to the advice of that wicked Pharaoh who said in Shemot 5:9, the work shall be made harder for the men, so that they shall be busy doing it and not talk about trivialities. His intent was not only to deny them any respite from their work to take note of their own plight or to plot against him, but also to prevent them from any reflection by means of ceaseless toil. That is the message of the shofar. Is to wake us up from that sleep, like hakitzu, right? Wake up, shake out of it. That's not what life is all about. And therefore, we need to blow the shofar for a month before Rosh Hashanah in the morning, because the message is that life is not about physical pursuits. The physical world is important, but it's important only so far as it brings us to spiritual acquisitions. So the day begins at night, and that's what the message of the Midrash is. When the shofar was blown, when Moshe ascended the mountain to teach the Jewish people, the day does not begin in the morning; it begins at night. Calculate accordingly, and that's our lesson for shofar. Shabbat shalom and Chodesh Tov.